ये वाला ये ओपन है
ऊपर है कि क्लोज है ಅದರ ಸೇರ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ನಮಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗಲೇ ಇದಾಗ್ತದೆ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಏನು ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ 50% ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ರಿಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಕಾಮನ್ 3 ವರ್ಷ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಜನ ಹಾಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಇಬ್ಬರೇ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿ ಓಕೆ ಇಬ್ಬರು
ಗೋಪಾಲಿ ಸರ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ
ಹಲೋ ಸತ್ಯನಾರಾಯಣ್ ಹಲೋ 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 ಸತ್ಯನಾರಾಯಣ್ ಹಲೋ
ಗೋಪಾಲಿ ಸರ್
ಹಲೋ ಸತ್ಯನಾರಾಯಣ್
ಕೇಳಿಸಿದ್ಯಾ ಸರ್ ಕೇಳಿಸಿದ್ಯಾ
ಕೇಳ್ತಾ
ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಸರ್
yes already 3 o'clock
yeah 3 o'clock yeah people will keep joining sir so we'll start now
yes we shall start
okay sir ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀರಾ
okay Hello, Satyanarayan. Is it visible?
Yeah, yes, it's quite visible, sir. Okay. I welcome Dr. Gopali, Dr. Gopali, sir, and all the participants to today's program. And good afternoon, all. And today's the topic is going to be engaged by Dr. Gopali, sir. And the topic is recent trends in the vegetable pest management. And currently, the Dr. Gopali, sir, he is working as a professor of entomology at the Regional Horticultural Research and Extension Center, Dharwad. and he has been associate with entomology for over 2.5 decades. And the total number of the students he has guided, Gopali sir, Dr. Gopali sir has completed his graduation and post-graduation in the PhD in agricultural entomology. So from the University of Horticultural Sciences, Dharwad itself. And Dr. Gopali sir has guided so far the 5 MSc students, and he has been the guide as chairman for the 4 PhD students. Sorry, it's 5 MSc students and the 4 PhD students. And to his credit, like Dr. Gopali sir, yes, handled several projects, out of which the renowned one are the integrated farming system, which is amounting to the 30 lakh rupees, which was funded by the government of Karnataka, Bangalore, and the establishment of the biogens production laboratory at Agricultural Research Station, Gulbarga. And this was under the mini mission second of the technology mission on the Cotton Ministry of Agriculture and Cooperation Cabinet of India, New Delhi. And this was amounting to the 20 lakh rupees, and this was completed from the 2000 year. It commenced in the year 2005. And was completed in the year 2006. And Dr. Gopali sir, apart from that, he is also having one the project title like the Farmers Extension Agriculture Research Education NAIP ICT project, so which was funded by the NAIP ICT project, which was from the Hyderabad, and it was amounting to the 70 lakh rupees. And this was completed in the year 2009, which was commenced in fact on the 2007 itself. And Dr. Gopali sir, apart from handling this project, he also has the very big project, which is the establishment of the bee breeding, colony multiplication and the training center on the beekeeping for sustainable pollination in the horticultural crops. And this was funded by the RHREC Yojana, RKVY, Department of Agriculture, MS Building, Dr. Ambedkar. So that is the venue, the funding is addressed. And this was to the tune of 84 lakh rupees, this was. And apart from that, Dr. Gopali sir's the illustrious career in the research is evident by the number of publications that he has made. And he has 25 research papers in the National Journal and the research papers in the International Journal, which is one. And has also published the 11 research notes, and he has attended and published the papers in the workshops, seminars, and symposia of the international category, which are 36 in number. And Dr. Gopali sir has also published the 34 popular articles and the 5 extension bullets, 7 books, and 5 chapters in the books and the training manuals, which are 5 in number again, and the technical documents 1, and there are several other the publications also. And Dr. Gopali sir has released, to his credit, he has the 29 technologies which he has developed, and 1 is in the pipeline to the package of practices. And apart from that, he also has been the recipient of several awards, fellowships, and several recognitions. One among which is the Academy of the Fellowship Award, which is the best research paper award during the year 2009 from the institution US Dharwad. And he also has to his credit, national award, which is the E-India 2010 Team Award, which was conferred to Dr. Gopali sir from the Hyderabad International Convention Center. And apart from that, he also has several other recognitions. One among which is the Organic Farming Vision P, the Krishik Samaj Gulbarga in the year 2005, and in the year 2012 he was conferred with the Incentive Award from the US Raichu. And Dr. Gopali sir has also rendered his the valuable service in the institutional building, among which they established the biological control at the ARS Gulbarga Agriculture Research Station Gulbarga during the year 2005-06, and establishment of the vermicompost unit at ARS Gulbarga 2007-09, and establishment of automatic weather station for entomological observations in the Agriculture Research Station Gulbarga during the year 1992-94, and development of a laboratory at RHREC Dharwad Regional Horticulture Research and Extension Center Dharwad from the 2011 to 2016, and this is the clear profile, and it is quite evident, he has been having the illustrious career. So, Dr. Gopali sir, Dr. Ganesh Gopali sir, I welcome you to the program again. So, Gopali sir, you can take the charge and proceed with the further proceedings of the day. Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dr. Satyanarayan, a nice introduction about me. So I welcome all the participants for this 10 days national level online training program on recent advances in entomology, a new dimension to invigorate the insect pest management, which is organized by SOH Feeder, which comes under UHS Bhagalpur. And I also welcome the organizing secretary and also the joint secretaries and member secretaries of this training program. And I also welcome all directly and indirectly who have involved in organizing this nice training program. And today, as already our my colleague introduced about me, so there is no necessity to introduce myself. So the presentation layout of this topic is that first introduction, then the background information, and after that the loss due to various insect pests, especially major insect pests, and ecological engineering, which is a new concept for the management of insect pests of vegetables, and which is now further clubbed with this IPM, Integrated Pest Management. This ecological engineering, in fact, actually it is a hidden engineering in all the components of the IPM, especially cultural, mechanical, biological, biorationals. And at last, based on this above facts, the crop diversification based IPM of major vegetable crops. Okay. So coming to this introduction, as we know, this vegetable crops are the valuable components of horticulture, having the greatest importance in providing food and national security. Vegetables are good for health due to many reasons, as they are rich in vitamins, minerals, and dietary fiber components, and the highest level of antioxidants, and they do not contain any saturated fat oils and also the cholesterol, and they are good for digestions. And we know that these vegetables, they help in curing many diseases and elements of human being. Okay, so and another thing is that the vegetable production, coming to its production, as per the latest statistics during 2017-18, the vegetables are grown on 10.26 million hectares of area with a production of 184.4 million tons. But the productivities are far, far below as compared to the national and international figures. This is mainly because of the biotic and abiotic factors. There are so many biotic and abiotic factors are there. Among those, insect pests contribute are responsible for major constraints or bottlenecks in reducing the production and productivity of these vegetables. Why these pests are more serious on vegetables only? This is mainly because of various reasons. Okay, so 100 years ago, there were no pesticides, and the farmers were not applying much toxic insecticides, and they were growing the healthy vegetables. This is mainly because of the crop diversification during those years. After the introduction of the high yielding varieties, and also to feed the entire the population, slowly the monoculture of these vegetables started, which led to the origin of many insect pests. Earlier, the pests which were minor, now they started becoming a major status. And secondly, because of not only monoculture or the single cultivation of the vegetables, and also the continuous cultivation of these vegetables throughout the year, that helped the insect, the continuous availability of the food. So there is a continuous multiplication of the insect. So there is no break for the multiplication of these insects. And third one is dense cropping. As I already told you, intensive agriculture, not only extensive plus intensive agriculture, and high density vegetable cultivation created a microclimate that is suitable for the multiplication of insect pests. And because of this uninterrupted multiplication of the insect pest, the farmers started spraying the toxic insecticides at higher dosages, continuously, repeatedly, So that further led to many side effects like development of resistance and residues on the crops. So many problems resulted and ultimately started deteriorating the health of the human being. So that's the major concern about these vegetables. And availability of the preferred host. So because of the invention and introduction of high yielding varieties and hybrids, the insects get tempted towards these high yielding varieties and hybrids, so that they started multiplying still more high numbers, and they were unable to control with the existing conventional insecticides, which are very toxic and highly persistent in nature. Especially the farmers, they were in the beginning started spraying the OC, organochlorines, organophosphates and carbamates, okay, at higher doses. So that has resulted a bad impact on the human health. And the excessive use of fertilizer and irrigation. After the 5-year plan, what happened? The excessive application of the fertilizers and irrigation that has made the crop to grow luxuriantly, greenish, and the crop becomes more susceptible to these insects. As these crops, the insects gets tempted towards such greenish, lush grown vegetable crops, so that they started eating over consumption of these the vegetables. And because of this, there is there is an uninterrupted supply of food to these insects. Thereby, there is a continuous multiplication of these insects, and minor becomes major insects. So that ultimately led to the the spoiling of this environment. And indiscriminate use of these insecticides that resulted in the pollution of natural resources like water, soil, and reduced density of beneficial insects, and also the soil microorganisms, and reduction in the pollinators, especially honeybees, and so many other birds which were helped in pollination, and also destruction of these natural enemies, predators, parasitoids, which in fact played a significant role in suppression of this pest population. In fact, out of 100%, more than 90% insects are beneficial to the human beings. Hardly less than 5% are harmful to the human beings. But because of this continuous application of the misuse and abuse of these insecticides, so that has led to the destruction of the natural enemies. So because these natural enemies, they were always bringing down the pest population below ETL. But when there is no population of the natural enemies, there is no control over the insects. Thereby, there is a continuous multiplication and excessive growth of this population, these insects. And apart from that, due to spraying of this spurious chemicals on these vegetables, pesticide residues remains a major concern. That becomes a health hazardous to the human beings, and also leading to the development of resistance and resurgence in insects, especially in cabbage, capsicum, okra, brinjal. So therefore, it is the time, it is the need of the hour to implement the recent techniques for the management of insect pests of vegetables. So sometimes, sometimes, not only sometimes, many times, if vegetables are exported to other countries, if there is a residues, they will totally categorically they reject at the international ports by the importing countries, which is oftenly due to maximum residues on the vegetables. So one thing we must remember, that any intervention in the environment towards the elimination of a species brings out a parallel change in the pest. Parallel change in the pest to overcome the hurdle. So this principle was overlooked till recently. So if we look into the graph here, pie chart, here, Japan, it is consuming highest pesticide, that is almost 11 active ingredient per kg per hectare, as compared to whereas India hardly it is consuming 0.38 active ingredient kg per hectare. Okay, so there is almost Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and they are using more than 200 times of consumption of insecticide compared to our country. Even then, there is no much residue problems in those countries. It is mainly because of the faulty application of the insecticide. So we are not using at the right time, at the right doses, at the right using right equipment. So, and we lack the knowledge on how to apply the insecticide, and also the know-how on the biology, insect anatomy, and identification of the natural enemies, and so many other things. Our farmers are not knowing all these things. So because of this reason, though we are consuming less quantity of pesticide, but there is a highest deposition of the insecticide residues on the vegetables. So this is mainly because of the lack of knowledge by our farmers. And coming to the law, another thing is that, as I have already mentioned, that many insects, they have already developed a resistance, especially diamond back moth, which has developed a resistance to almost all the conventional insecticides, right from all the pyrethroids, OC compound, OP, and carbamates. So there is none of the insects left or against this diamond back moth. Similarly, this tomato fruit borer, Hellcore parmigera, this also has developed a resistance to almost all the insecticides. Similarly, the sucking pests like whitefly, aphids, hoppers, thrips. So almost all these sucking pests, they have developed resistance to these conventional insecticides. And similarly, this brinjal shoot and fruit borer, here receives maximum number of insecticides and different types of insecticides at higher dosages, also recorded the resistance. Like that, other major vegetable crops are also recorded highest residues, even in case of okra, chili, capsicum, bitter gourd, okay, and the brinjal, so many other vegetables where the conventional insects, where the insects have developed resistance to conventional insecticides. And if we look into the pesticide residues in vegetables, it is almost all above MRL levels. You take any vegetable, either brinjal, cabbage, cauliflower, okra, chili, or tomato. So there are maximum amount of residues, more than maximum residue limits. They have crossed the limits. This is mainly because of the indiscriminate use of these insecticides. And because of this, the insects, because of the development of the resistance by insects, then automatically the loss will also increase exponentially. Earlier, the tomato fruit borer, which was causing 5 to 10%, now it has doubled. The loss is doubled. Similarly, brinjal, loss is from 11 to 93%. If you don't take up any control measures, or if you left unmanaged, then the loss may go up to more than 90% in case of brinjal. Similarly, chili, especially sucking pests, thrips and mites, becomes a headache for the farmers. Now the farmers are afraid to cultivate the chili because of these insects. They are deteriorating the economic status, and also they almost dropped the cultivation of this chili because of this these two problems, these two insects, thrips and mites. Similarly, okra, fruit borer, leaf hopper, whitefly, shoot and fruit borer, almost all the insects they have increased and causing major loss to the farmers. Similarly, cabbage, earlier just 1 decade back, the farmers were spraying more than 2 dozen times of insecticide sprays. That is almost more than 24-25 times, which is hardly 2 months crop. I mean, the 3 months old crop, but which receives the insecticides only for 2 months. So in those 2 months, the farmers are spraying 25 times. Imagine how much insecticide residues is left on the crop. So parallelly, there is there is no reduction in the loss, and in fact, it is increasing. The loss is increasing despite of the spraying of these insecticides. And similarly, cucurbits, especially fruit fly, which is very great menace and great bottleneck in the production of this all types of gourds, which is a major pest on these, especially bitter gourd, cucumber, muskmelon, snake gourd, sponge gourd. So there, the damage is 20 to up to 100%. And earlier, in the beginning, some of the insect pests like serpent and leaf miner, it was restricted only to the tomato. Now it has increased the number of hosts: brinjal, cowpea, French bean, squash, leaf vegetables, cucurbits. Like that, it is almost attacking more than half a dozen of vegetable crops. Similarly, spiraling whitefly, which was mainly on guava and citrus, but now it is also appearing on bendi. Like that, almost all the vegetable crops which have very narrow host range, now it becomes a wide host range. That is, it's mainly because of the many reasons, as I have already quoted. So the answer for this is the integrated pest management. Let us see what is IPM. This you already know it, but the latest IPM is not just the old IPM, but it is a new one which is clubbed or coupled with ecological engineering. Let us see what is that. So many times IPM means just it is not when insect reaching the ETL and applying the insecticides. No. So we should not allow the insect to even reach ETL. That is the present concept of this IPM. In the initial stage only, we have to detect and monitor. So there is no strong mechanism of insect identification and monitoring, which requires a lot of knowledge of insect morphology, insect anatomy, insect physiology, insect toxicology. All this knowledge is required to the farmer for insect identification. So the farmer should have a morphology, means the biology, bioecology of the insect knowledge is must for the pest management, for effective pest management. So where our farmer knows about the bioecology of insect pests of different vegetable crops? No. So they are almost uneducated and they don't know what is the bioecology or biology or bioecology of the insect pests. So under such circumstances, it is very difficult to expect from the farmers to implement IP. And the second is insect identification is also most important. Many farmers, they are unable to differentiate what is pest and what is parasiticide or natural enemies. They don't know the difference between pest and the natural enemies like predators, parasitoids, and pathogens. And the population pressure. So this is also most important. So and also economic threshold, which is many times the farmers, they don't know the economic ETL of different crops, and also the farmer doesn't know from where the insect starts infecting the crop in the field. So at what time the insect will step inside the field, at what time, and where it will start causing damage to the vegetable crops. So the insect will not occupy the entire area instantly. At somewhere it has to enter, it has to make a way, it has to make a route to enter into inside the field. So how it is entering our field, that has to be detected. And also one must have the knowledge on the natural enemies. One must have the knowledge on how to identification of these natural enemies. And on all these factors, one must have a solid conclusion or to take the decisions what to do. So how to implement, what kind of insecticide has to spray, whether botanical or any other cultural method, or mechanical or physical or biological or chemical. If it is chemical, whether it is a selective or it is green gabled, or what is its LD50 value. So all those things are required to make the decision. So some of the important consideration in chemical control, as I have already told you, some of the scientists have already calculated the ETL level of different insect pests of major vegetable crops like DVM, aphids, chili mites, thrips, whitefly, tomato fruit borer, okra, leafhopper, and pea aphids. So they have almost devised the economic threshold levels, right from 1 larva to 10 larva. So like that. So it is mentioned here. But the IPM approach, the contribution of pest management of different components, it varies. So here, the major, among the various components of the IPM, the major components in the reduction of the pest population goes to the cultural practices. So if you look into this triangle, so the major portion, it is contributed by the cultural practices towards the pest management, followed by biological control, followed by lastly pesticides, which occupy the smaller segment of in the triangle. So the major portion is occupied by the cultural practices, which means we have to give more concentration, more attention towards the cultural practices, followed by biological, and lastly pesticides. So this is how it is a scientific based information. Let us see how it is possible. Cultural methods means that there are so many steps are there, so many components are there, right from sanitation, keeping the crop hygienic, and rotation of the crop rotation of different vegetables, tillage, intercultivation, cultivar selection, resistant or susceptible or moderately resistant varieties like that, time of sowing, plant population, manure, fertilizer, so many mulching, habitat diversification, trap crops. So always IPM means it is not, the step is not initiated when you notice the insect in the field. So IPM means it is before the sowing, at the time of sowing, and after the sowing of the crop. So all these three timings we should consider before the taking up of any vegetable crop. What has to be done, and at the time of sowing or planting of vegetable crop, what has to be done, and after planting, what is to be done. So all these three things we should consider, and we have to follow so many steps involved in those conditions. So as I told, this sanitation means it doesn't require any explanation that we should keep the field hygienic and other things, and we should not grow any alternate weed hosts all along the bunds of the field. That we should take care, and we have to destroy or remove the alternate hosts that are grown all along the field or also inside the field. That means we have to keep the plot or clean, and removal of the debris and all those things are most important, especially in case of sweet potato weevil, where if you leave the crop residues in the field, so that will act as a inoculum for the next crop. Then crop rotation, taking the same crop throughout the year, so 2-3 crops in a single year, that will help for the insect to build up uninterruptedly. So we have to interrupt. That means we have to rotate the crop with the different crops. Tillage, as I have already told you, the deep summer flowing, that will help to reduce the insect population by exposing the pupa which are hidden inside the soil. So many pupa of maybe fruit fly or Helicoverpa paramizera or caterpillars, whatever it may be. So they will be exposed to the sunlight, to the intense light, to the intense heat, and they will be destroyed. Okay. And manuring is also most important. Manuring that will help for the growth and the development of the pathogens. Okay, especially pneumonia, metarhizium, Bavaria. So all these things, they require manure or FOM as a food for those microbes. So that will help for the, to check the insect population. Then solarization, of course, during summer season will help. And mulching is yet another important practice which will increase the soil temperature, thereby the insect will die. And secondly, there is no movement of insects from one place to other place. And thirdly, it will also suppress the alternate host, weeds, like that. So mulching helps a lot. Then the mite, especially this is true with the mite population, Tetranis urticae, in case of a brinjal hybrid, where the black polythene mulching that helps to reduce the mite population per square meter area and also increasing the yield. So the black polythene mulching is most important as far as reduction of the pest is concerned. Then if the black polythene mulching is not possible, then at least one can implement the straw mulching. That will also help in reducing the second pests like thrips. Then similarly, the aphids. Aphids are also most important. So they can also, their population can also be checked using this mulching with rice straw. And irrigation, especially we know that these sucking pests, they don't like the rain, because during rainy season their population is not much, because this rain that will check the multiplication of these sucking pests because of their tiny size, and wings are very delicate, and overall the body itself is very small and tiny and delicate. So any drop that will fall on the insect, it will become a physical damage to this pest, and physically the insect will die, either due to starvation or due to physical force. So that's why this sprinkler irrigation that will bring down the population of thrips, jacids, whitefly, and aphids. So that's what, even in case of DBM, this will bring a lot of good practice by the farmers. And sprinkler irrigation also helps in reducing the onion thrips. That is also most important. And similarly, the next best method is the cultivation. Cultivation, I mean the selection of the resistant or moderately resistant varieties. That will help in many ways. At least they will bring down the pest population and not reaching the ETL. And there are a list of, in case of okra, there are a list of varieties which are moderately resistant to jacids, because okra is severely affected by these jacids, especially during winter season. Winter season, it is impossible to grow okra in winter season because of this jacid problem, and they will attack and they will cause the hopper burn symptoms, as if the field is burned in such a way this jacids will attack the okra during winter season. So that's why at least some of the varieties which are moderately resistant to these jacids can be considered for cultivation. And even in case of the other important vegetable crops like tomato, brinjal, cabbage, cauliflower, okra, onion, where many varieties are developed which are at least tolerant, if not resistant, they will tolerate. Such varieties can be selected for cultivation. Then even in case of Palampur, where Faisalabad, where they have come out with a good number of resistant genotypes on brinjal, okra, and tomato, those things can also be considered for the management of this insect. Even in case of brinjal, leafhopper, so many varieties are there. Manjri is there, Vaishali is there, so which are less susceptible to these jacids. Similarly, for fruit and shoot borer, so many varieties are developed which are at least tolerant and resistant. And similarly for hatta beetle, that is spotted beetle, for that also some varieties are developed which are tolerant. And even in case of tomato, which are which will prevent the yellow leaf curl virus, which is a really great menace and very much problematic. So this can be bring down by selecting the variety. And even the behavior control also most important by adopting yellow sticky traps, blue sticky traps. As much as possible, we should think the cultural practices followed by biological, and the insect will be the last weapon, not the immediate weapon. So all these things we must implement, but unfortunately the farmer is not considering these components as a pest management strategies. His aim is only to use insecticides, and they are still playing an important role as far as pest management is concerned. So in this regard, we have to educate, we have to sensitize the farmers with all these technologies. Then adoption of some of the sex pheromone traps, especially for tomato fruit borers and eggplants, the brinjal fruit and shoot borer. For all those things, they contribute much as far as reduction of the pest is concerned. Then trapping device, light trap, pheromone traps, sticky traps are there, so which can be considered for the management of this thing. Yellow sticky traps, which helps not only to bring down the pest population and also act as a monitoring device whether the insect has entered inside the field or not. That will help to take up necessary action for further management of these insects. And coming to the eco-friendly insecticides, sometimes this bait spray. So especially for this fruit fly, some of the bait have been developed, like malathion 50 grams plus 500 grams of molasses in 50 liters of water. This will be sprayed in isolated patch, in a sporadic manner, not covering the entire field. So in isolated patch, this bait is sprayed so as to attract the adult population of this fruit fly. Then some of the mechanical methods are also there. Release method is there, protected cultivation is there, trapping, lure, so many are there. So here, trellis system of method of this one is that will help, especially gourds, bitter gourd, ridge gourd, and sponge gourd, where you notice less number of pest population. And similarly, this protected cultivation. So using this poly house, net house, so there we can restrict the pest population entering inside the net house. But even in recent days, the sucking pests are becoming a greatest challenging job to control them even inside the poly house and a net house as far as capsicum cultivation is concerned. See the protection through net house on community level, that will also help in bringing down, and cultivating the tomato inside the poly house will bring down, and even the seedling raising the nursery using this shade net, that will bring down the application of the insecticide, toxic insecticides for the management of the insects. So even the brinjal seedlings were grown using this small tunnel-like shade houses, and even in case of tomato, so to grow the resistant, the disease-free seedlings, and also the vectors, free from vectors. So for that, this small scale and net house will help a lot in bringing down this pest population. And as I was telling in the beginning, the ecological engineering is the most important and recent concept as far as pest management is concerned. So here, ecological engineering for the encouragement of natural enemies against insect pests is most important for us. So ecological engineering means it is just a manipulation of the habitat, dwelling place of the insect as well as the natural enemies. So as to, in case of, if we know the habitat, how to make it, how to avoid the insect population and how to encourage the natural enemies. That is most important. And also how to develop the microclimate for the development of the pathogens. like the Numeria, or Bavaria, or Metrasium, which requires a certain environmental conditions. So to provide, if we provide the environmental conditions, automatically their infection rate will enhance to bring down the insect population. And further, the conservation of the pollinators and the natural enemies in the field. So just by mere growing the main crop, that will not bring down, that will not encourage or enhance the natural enemy population. But this natural enemy population requires a separate environment that we have to create inside the main crop itself. That is the basic concept of this ecological engineering. So let us see this ecological engineering, how it is, how it works. So ecological engineering means basically we should understand the ecology of the pest. Ecology of the pest. Parallelly, we should also know the ecology of the beneficial species like natural enemies, predators, parasites, and pathogens. So what are the most important pests that require management? So that means we should here we should know the timing of the arrival of the pest, and also the timing of the encouragement or the arrival of the natural enemies. It is always not the same. Normally, the natural enemies like parasites and predators or pathogens, they take up upper hand when already the pest has caused enough damage to the crop. So when there is a 90% damage by the pest, then the natural enemies or beneficial fauna will start gradually increasing its population. So this gap we have to manipulate. That means we have to encourage the beneficial organisms in the beginning itself, so as to take care of the initial buildup of the pest. That is most important. That means how, where, and when. These three things we must remember as far as the pest and beneficial occurrence is concerned. So where the pest will start building up, how pest will build up, and when the pest will build up. So this three, W, H, W, we must remember these three words as far as pest is concerned. So where the pest incidence will start, how the pest incidence will begin, and when it will start. So similarly, if we know this one, then it is easy job for us to increase the beneficial population. Let us see how the beneficial population can be increased in parallel with the pest occurrence. Let us see how it is possible. So these are all the list of predators that are already existing in the nature in small numbers. And similarly, predatory birds are there, but we are not giving the avenue or the environment, or we have to attract these predatory birds or predators in a such a way that we have to give support, or we have to encourage. Let us see which are the ways to encourage and support these predatory birds. So before that, these are the components of or the elements of ecological engineering. The first one is vegetational diversity. As I was telling that even earlier also our farmers were growing the vegetables for personal consumption and not on commercial scale and not on monocropping. So there was a rich vegetation was there during those timings. Because of that rich vegetation, the insects were getting enough food on different host plants. But now, because of the monocropping, all the insects are attacking on a single crop, on a single vegetable crop. That's why the insect problem is increasing. So that's what we have to implement vegetational diversity. Whether it is a small scale, medium or large scale, it is possible to implement the vegetational diversity. Then attractive flowering plants. As I was telling, that these natural enemies, the adult of the natural enemies food is mainly because of the flowers. So if we grow at least 5-10% of the flowering plants along with the main crop, so we are helping a lot to the natural enemy population. automatically they will come for food purpose, because the flowers, they will provide nectar and pollen to the these natural enemies, and because of that they get attracted towards the main crop. Then intercropping also there are many intercrops are there that I'm going to list, and similarly border or barrier crops, trap crops, repellent crops, mixed crops. All these things they will change the microclimate and attract the natural enemy population, and they enhance and augment and conserve these natural enemies inside the ecosystem. So this is the vegetational diversity, where we can check at least we can prevent the outbreak of the pest because of the diversity of the cropping system. So there is no monoculture. It is all there is a diversification in the cropping system. And here, under such circumstances, the insecticides are seldomly required, occasionally, sometimes, not always. And that will, as I was already told you, they help in enhancing the natural control, and they may require the need-based application of the insecticides, either botanical or biorational insecticides or new molecules, or if need be 1 or 2 insecticides. That's all. So this is how we can, by ecological engineering, so because of the crop diversification, we can change the attention of the insect to other lucrative and attractive crops, not on the main crop. So suppose, for example, main crop is cabbage. So DVM and other pests will attack on the cabbage. But for the DVM, apart from the cabbage, which is the most preferred and highly attractive host plant, that we have to grow, so that we are diverting this DVM on main crop, that is on cabbage or cauliflower, and we are diverting to other the border crops or intercrops or mixed crops like mustard, like Chinese cabbage, like that. So these are some of the successful examples of trap crops in case of vegetables. So in case of cabbage, tomato, carrot, garlic, cabbage and potato, where a list of trap crops are given here, like from onion, garlic, marigold, Indian mustard. So this method of planting will bring down many major insect pests like DBM, tomato, hornworm, thrips, caterpillar, and other insects like that. See, this is one model where, in case of, this is an example, one of my student has did experiment on this crop diversification in okra. Here, okra is the main crop in this given, and T2 here okra with 2 rows of maize and 1 row of marigold. That will help to control hopper population migrating from other field to our field, and marigold for the attraction of this helicobacter. So apart from that, we have introduced in the third treatment, we have introduced from cowpea and intercrop with coriander. In the T4, all the crops are diversified. Okra is the main crop. Along with that, 2 rows of maize, 1 row of marigold, 2 rows of cowpea, and coriander as an intercrop. 1:5:1, 1 row of coriander with 5 rows of okra. So this has made not only diverting the insect population on other host plants, and they also act as in multiple ways. They act as a border crop, barrier crop, attractants and attractants for these natural enemies, parasitoids and predators, especially cowpea and coriander. Cowpea and coriander, these two things, they will encourage the natural enemy population, because these two things they provide. Cowpea also provides the microclimate avenue for the encouragement of the natural enemy population, and similarly coriander, that will also attract the natural enemy population. Thereby, instead of spraying 4 or 5 insecticides, just it will receive 1 or 2 insecticides. So thereby almost we are reducing 60% of the insecticide applications. That itself is a major contribution towards safeguarding the environment and also the ecological ecosystem. So this is the graphical representation where this leafhopper and whitefly population brought down significantly in this T4. See where T4 is the okra, 2 rows of maize, 1 row of marigold, 2 rows of cowpea, and intercropped with coriander. So this will help in many ways in bringing down this leafhopper and whitefly population. Coming to this another, not only this sucking pest, even the helicoverpa and another this areas vitella also their population bring down because of this crop diversification. And even this natural enemies, what I was explaining, the natural enemy population increased significantly, especially coccinellate, chrysopids, syrphids, spider, predatory spiders. All these population significantly increased to bring down the pest population. And even we have also worked out the cost economics of this crop diversification on okra due to various reasons. So here, as usual, that T4 with the 2 rows of maize, marigold, cowpea, and coriander recorded highest yield and highest BC ratio. What else is required just by adopting this crop diversification? So it is a wonderful, though it is doesn't have much technology, but it works out significantly. Then growing the attractive flower plants, like as I was telling, one flower plant, that's marigold, likewise chrysanthemum, sunflower, mustard, cosmos, buckwheat, to encourage so many natural enemies like spiders, syrphids, reduced bugs, ladybird beetles, trichogramma, praying mantids, sylphid fly. So many things are encouraged by different growing attractive plants. And similarly, birds. Actually, birds, if you just understand the world of the birds, it's very interesting. So there is a wide diversity, wide variation as far as the behavior of the birds is concerned. Some birds are ground predators, some are aerial predators. Okay, some are omnivorous, some are carnivorous. So like that, it is the information. It is very vast. But here we have to harness. We have to attract the predatory birds towards the elimination of the pests. How? So it is mainly because birds, especially aerial birds, some of the aerial birds like black bronco, blue jay, okay, and some other insectivorous birds, they require alighting place. I mean support for alighting. For that, we have to grow some strong, rigid support, giving crops like sunflower, maize, all those things, sunflower, sorghum, maize, which give a solid support to alight for the birds, and they act as a live bird purchase. So those things can be grown. So here one experiment, it is done by one of my students, where he has grown a handful of seeds, handful of sorghum seeds and a handful of sunflower seeds. He just sprinkled just 100 grams of sorghum and 100 grams of the sunflower seeds. He just sprinkled in 1 hectare area. So that has made so many ecological changes. So that has given a camouflage effect to the birds, and many birds, they get attracted towards the sunflower, considering its broad yellow colored, bright yellow colored flowers. And even in case of sorghum, where many the parasitoids, especially parasitoids, they have got attracted towards towards this sorghum, because this sorghum, they provide the food, especially the leaf, they secrete the sugary substance. For that, to feed on that, the parasites, many parasites, they get attracted, especially in case of chickpea, vegetable chickpea, Campylorus chloridae, Bracon brevicornis, they have attracted, and they in turn started parasitizing the main main insect, that's the Helicoverpa armigera. And many birds, they were get attracted, and they started, especially on these sunflower, they act as a live bird perch, alighting on that, resting on those, and they watch the insects and they feed upon. So that's how in many ways that helps. Apart from that, birds, even tachinids, in fact, I forgot to tell you, so many tachinids, they arrive towards this sorghum plants to feed the sugary secretions secreted by the leaves as a food for the tachinids, adults. While when they get attracted to this sorghum, automatically they also get the host to lay the eggs on the Helicoverpa armigera. So that's why tachinid population, almost 10% of the tachinid population was observed. Wasps, coccinellids, so many natural enemies, parasitoid predators were encouraged. And similarly, border crops. So, or it can also be called as an hedge rows or border crops. If we grow those things, definitely it will check the pest population that will not allow migrating from other areas to our areas. Intercropping, as I was telling, so the intercropping, they provide the shelter and microclimate and also the source, because the flower, they provide the nectar and pollen to these natural enemies. So because of these three things, natural enemies get attracted and their population is encouraged. And so this is the graphical representation in case of tomato, intercropping with so many other crops. So intercropping tomato with coriander is the best combination. And similarly, even in case of brinjal and border crops, as I have already told you enough about this, growing 2 rows or 4 rows of maize or sorghum all along the border of the main crop, definitely it will check the sucking pest population. And even the marigold, that will bring down the Helicoverpa get attracted towards this marigold rather than the main crop. So some of the key factors we have to consider while growing these trap crops. So trap crops means there is a mismatch between the main crop and the trap crop. Either we have to grow well in advance these trap crops so as to coincide with the attack of the insect pests. Say for example in case of okra, so we have to grow this marigold well in advance. Marigold and sorghum crops, we have to grow 20 to 25 days earlier to the main crop so as to coincide the insect. When the insect enters inside the main field, meanwhile our natural enemies will also develop on these trap crops and they will switch on to this and they will attack on these insect pests or main crop. So that's why we have to adjust the timing. That's most important. So this is how this tomato trap with maize. So this is the layout of the trap crop. We have to normally grow surrounding the main crop. We have to grow the trap crop. That will help a lot. So some of the examples are given here about these trap crops. In case of brinjal, cabbage, radish, potato. So where coriander, radish, mustard, marigold are the trap crops to control various insect pests. So marigold, Helicoverpa is the one where it gets attracted towards this marigold and prevented and protected the tomato. Similarly, mustard is grown in case of cabbage, mustard or even the Chinese cabbage. Chinese cabbage is much more lucrative and attractive to this BB. And even castor is grown with the chilies so as to prevent this Podopteroleuthera damage. Similarly, the eggplant, growing okra as a trap crop along the border of the eggplant is quite interesting. So that will bring down the insect pest population, sucking pest population. So especially white fly, which is a vector for this yellow vein mosaic, curly virus. So that is this vector is brought down by just growing this crop. And similarly, so many other examples are there like this. Trap cropping, that is Solanum vigrum with the tomato. So tomato fruit borer, Helcorpa ornithera population is checked. And similarly, these growing tall crops, this corn around the tomato and eggplants will reduce the incidence of white fly. Like that, many examples are there. So all these and some repellent crops are also there, like osimum, coriander, garlic, mint, marigold, onion. So these things, these repellent crops can also be grown along with the main crop to ward off about the crop diversification is the basic principle of the ecological engineering. And we also the release of the trichogramma, the predators. So if we club this ecological engineering plus the biological control, the normal way of biological control, that will further enhance and bring down the pest population successfully. So this is very interesting, and much studies has been done by my own students, and they got very good, excellent results. So we know that biological control, 3P, that is predators, parasitoids, and pathogens, they will be there, and we have to conserve them. Okay, conservation is now becoming much more easier because of the ecological engineering, because of the crop diversification. Crop diversification is the basic concept to conserve the natural enemies. Now it becomes very easy by adopting crop diversification. So just earlier we are just releasing the biological agents, but now we are releasing the biological agents in crop diversification. That means they are very well protected and their population is very well maintained and encouraged also. Even in case of pathogens, like this bacteria, fungi, and these things, especially these require the microclimate, means they require high humidity conditions for their growth and multiplication. So that is again provided by this crop diversification, which develops a microclimate for the development of these pathogens. So that is another added advantage of this crop diversification. So that's how this conservation goes, the story of this conservation goes like this, by implementing the crop diversification. So many predators were observed in ecologically engineered crops, crop diversification. Almost all the predators, which were very quite common when you enter into the field where the crop diversification is implemented, in those fields you notice all these predators. So this is a quite common scene that this predator bug is dragging the caterpillars from one place to other place. And similarly, this syrphid larvae, the population will increase. Even similarly, this the chrysopa and the coccinellids. So all these parasitoids population will enhance by this crop diversification. So these are some of the recommended vegetable crops for the biological control. So we release a Trichogramma brasiliensis for the management of okra shoot and fruit borer, and also the tomato fruit borer at the rate of 250,000. So the releasing this bioagent in a sole crop and releasing in a crop diversified crop. So there is a significant difference between these two conditions. So here in crop diversification, the population of bioagents will enhance very fast, multiply very fast, and they are well protected. And in turn, they protect our crop by checking the main pests. Similar to biopesticides, nuclear polyhydrosis and BT, and especially entomology pathogen fungus, which requires a certain kind of environmental conditions for their multiplication, also helped by this crop diversification. Okay, so this is even in some of the pulse crops where it's very difficult to create the microclimate So once the microclimate develops, then it's very easy to get the good results of the microinsecticides like Numerarili or the Metarhizium or Beauveria bassiana. So green muscardine fungi, it is much more effective. That's example Metarhizium ensuple, which is affecting the legume pod borer. That's the spotted pod borer, Moraca testulalis. So in lone field, in a sole crop, to get this result, it is very difficult. But in crop diversified field, it is very easy to get the results of Metarhizium ensuple. Similarly, botanicals. Botanicals also becomes very effective. In the crop diversified situation, because in the crop diversification, as I was telling, the pest population is always below ETL, means economic threshold level. Pests will be there. Pests will be there. There is no doubt. But their population is diverted from the main field to the other crops. So when the pest population is diverted, then the botanicals works very well. Okay, so when the pest population is at small or negligible or below ETL, definitely the botanicals will work out. As we know, there is no much time to explain the mode of action of botanicals, because botanicals have multiple mode of action of insecticides, like the repellent, antifeedant, even the larvicide, to some extent insecticide also. And because of all these mode of actions, the botanicals have versatile mode of action. Because of versatile mode of action, definitely at a lower pest population, they work very well. So this is the examples where the different plant products are imposed on various insects. So plant products like Pangemia, then Maduca indica, neem, and extracts of Lantanicamera, okay, and also the Vinca rosea and Vetex negondo, okay, and so many plant products or botanicals are there, which works very well under low pest population, that under crop diversification. Even this cucurbitae, which is a great menace on this cucumber family. So this can also be brought down just by applying the Acorus calamus, which is a very good botanical, and also the custard apple seeds, Anonasicomas. So these two, and also neem, these three, they act very well and bring down the population of this fruit fly population. Then IGRs all are also most important. IGRs, they come under biorational insecticides as one of the important component of the biorational insecticides. And these IGRs have, they are very selective and they have a different mode of action as compared to the conventional insecticides. And they act, on endocrine system, and their origin, some of them are from the microorganisms like spinoside and emamectin benzoate. So because of these things, they have a special a place in pest management. And the novel insecticides are new molecules. New molecules, it is very, most of you already know about this. If you consider the sucking pest, earlier we were using the monocrotophos, dimethyl, acephate, carbosulfan, phosphomidone, so many things which were applied at very high doses, 1 ml, 2 ml, 2.5 ml, at least minimum 2 ml. Whereas the new molecules for the management of sucking pest, they are applied at 0.1 ml, 0.2 ml, 0.25, 0.5 ml. So it is in the digits. So that means the dosage requirement is very, very almost 4 to 5 times lesser than the conventional insecticides, which means we are releasing the less toxic load to the environment. That means we are the ecologically they are balanced, and there is a minimum or less damage to the ecosystem, as compared to this conventional insecticides. Similarly, for the management of these caterpillars, borers, there also endosulfan, quinolphos, profenophos, chlorpyrifos, methomyl, which are highly toxic, and their dosage is also very high, and the number of sprays are also very high. Doses, not only doses, and the frequent application of the insecticides, the frequency is also high. Whereas these new molecules like indoxacarb, spinosad, novaluron, thiodicarbon, so they require little. Flubendiamide, it is 0.1 ml against Heliconia parmigera. It is recommended. Okay, you open the package of practice and look into its the doses. Flubendiamide, it is 0.1 ml. Then spinosad, 0.2 ml. And then similarly, emamectin benzoate, that's proclaim, it is also 0.2 gram. And at the most 0.3 ml, last it is 0.5 ml under special conditions. So that means their dosage and frequency is very, very less. Because of this, they are called as novel insecticides. And apart from not only the dosage and not only the frequency, and their mode of action is also very typical. Mode of action, it is different as compared to the conventional insecticides. So the insect will rarely, or it requires very long time, very long time to develop resistance against these new molecules. Very rare and difficult compared to conventional insecticides. So because of, and they are very highly selective. Selective means a particular insect it can target. Okay, if I want to manage the sucking pest, means I have to use particular new molecules. And for the management of the borers, specifically I have to use a special new molecules. So like that, they are highly specific. Selectivity is there. So because of all these factors, they have gained a much importance in IPM. So why these new molecules find a very good place in vegetable pest management is that they are effective than when conventional insecticides, one thing, and they prevent hazardous effects, reduce the insecticidal, as I already told you, resistance and resistance. And because of their low molecular weight, these new molecules, new insecticides, they have very low molecular weight, thereby they are effective extremely at a low dosage, and they are non-toxic to the mammals. And some of these new molecules, they are categorized under green labeled insecticides, especially green labeled insecticides means this, the chlorantraniliprole, cyanantraniliprole, flubendiamide. So all these insecticides, not only their dosage is less, and moreover, they are labeled under green symbol. Okay, so green symbol is there on, you look into the packet, you look into the, the container of this insecticides, you notice the green symbol, means they are safe to the natural enemies, and also mammals, and also earthworms, birds, so fish, and because of that, and they have very high LD50 value. Okay, insecticides which are having a very high LD50 value are safer to the environment. So there is a big list: imidacloprid, okay, and acetamiprid, thiamethoxam, especially, which is very effective against jacids, and thiamethoxam. Its trade name is Actra. Jacid groups belonging the insects to jacids, they are very effective. And another interesting fact about the imidacloprid is that imidacloprid, it is having very high persistence and residual toxicity. Hence, they can be used as a seed treatment. So gouch is the one that's available in the market. Gouch is the trade name, where this can be used at the rate of 5 gram or 10 gram per kg seed. That will bring down the application of insecticides. So that will protect the crop up to 1 month. Means in majority of the cases, especially in chili, so soon after 1 or 2 weeks old, the thrips will start attacking the chili crop. So this can be prevented by applying by adopting seed treatment. Similarly, so many other new molecules are there. Clothianidin is there, indoxacarb, chlorantraniliprole, flubendiamide, paramecifen, fipronil. So these things can be used, one or two times without any hesitation. Similarly, difenthurone, imamectin benzoate, chlorphenfer, the fluorobenzene, lufenuron, difenthurone, and diflubenzuron, all those things. And as I was mentioning about these new molecules, they have a typical mode of action, and unlike the conventional insecticides, where they are, acetylcholine inhibitors, one thing, that's one thing. So here they will inhibit specifically the ions, calcium ions, sodium ions, and because of that, it's very difficult for the insect to develop resistance. So they have the typical mode of action. So here the sodium ions are blocked and calcium ions are blocked in case of chlorantraniliprole. So you just remember that they have a typical mode of action. And so similarly, the list will continue. There's a very big list is there as far as new molecule is concerned. And waiting period, if you compare with the conventional insecticides, where endosulfan 21 days, phosphomidone 10 days, whereas in case of the spinosad, there is no waiting period, and in case of imamectin benzoate, it's very 5 days. Imidacloprid is 3 days. On different insect, it varies. The number of days varies. Now, our students and my students come out with one good IPM schedule for the management of brinjal shoot and fruit borer. So here, IPM technology comprised of the installation of the plastic funnel traps, one thing, clipping of the damaged shoots, need-based application of the foliar application of with NSK, and fine-tuning of this model is that addition of, as I was telling, the seedling root tip with the Rynaxypyr, that will help to bring down this brinjal fruit and shoot borer. And another is that here one more schedule is there. Before transplanting to the main field, dipping the brinjal seedlings in imidacloprid, okay, that for about 10 minutes. That will check the pest population up to 1 month minimum. So they say up to 45 days, but at least up to 30 days, it gives protection to the brinjal seedlings. And another thing is that this soil application of the neem cake and also the vermicompost, that will also help in reducing the pest population in such a way that the application of the neem that helps the plant to grow sturdy. So sturdy plants, definitely they will be, they can withstand the minimum damage done by the insects. So on the contrary, if you apply the DAP or the urea, okay, or the inorganic fertilizers, definitely the plant will grow luxuriantly with lush green, but that will attract more insects compared to application of neem cake and vermicompost. Okay, this is the one thing that we must remember. And the third is that when the incidence of shoot and fruit borer is noticed, then go for spraying of thiodicard, because at that time still the crop is about 40 to 45 days old. Still it was about to flower. At that time, if you spray thiodicard, which is very effective against this pest, nothing will. So then going for cyanantraniliprole, which is having a very broad spectrum activity, which can control not only the brinjal fruit and shoot borer, it also controls the other sucking pest, which is a broad spectrum insecticides compared to chlorantraniliprole, which is effective only against this brinjal fruit and shoot borer. Then gradually you switch on to this Bacillus thuringiensis, which is a biological control, BT, which is a bacteria. Then so just because of this few insecticides, if you follow this schedule, definitely you will record the lowest shoot damage and also fruit damage, and you will get highest fruit yield. Overall, there will be a good increase in the fruit and brinjal fruit yield as compared to the farmers' practice. In case of cabbage also, so similar kind of the package will follow, but here the components are a little bit different. So first thing is the installation of the pheromone traps. Second is light traps. At least 1 or 2 light traps must be there so as to attract this DBM adults. Then growing the paired mustard row. Earlier it was different, but now it is growing paired mustard row as a trap crop for every 25 cabbage rows. First row 15 days before, and second one 25 days later. So this staggered sowing, it is just to protect the crop consistently till harvesting. That is the main reason behind this one. And there is another fine tuning with this is that growing Chinese cabbage, Chinese cabbage as a trap crop improved the attraction of DBM larvae 9 times more than the mustard. That is very interesting. So DBM prefers Chinese cabbage than the other cabbage. Then in that case, you just go for spraying of dichlorowas only on trap crops, either cabbage or Chinese cabbage or mustard. Then a need-based application of the NSK, and also release of, when if you notice any natural animal population, you just go for neem seed kernel extract spray, and also go for spraying of some new molecules, that is spinoside, chlorantraniliprole or flubendamide. So chlorantraniliprole and flubendamide, they are the green labeled molecules. Then for the Spodoptera management, so NPV stands better, SLNPV, and for aphid management, coriander, going for coriander as a border crop, that will help for the management of the aphid. And also you can take up the spraying of entomopathogenic fungi, that is Verticillium lacani, at the rate of 500 grams per hectare at a 10 days interval. For that, the aphid can also be managed. Then similarly, IPM for tomato fruit borer, here also some technologies are introduced, and it is also very important vegetable crop where L-Corpa is a major one, which cause heavy damage in case of Karnataka 56, Punjab 65, Tamil Nadu 50, Uttar Pradesh 36, Himachal Pradesh 24%. So it varies from location to location, depending upon the geographical location. Then IPM intervention in case of tomato is that 2 rows of marigold as a trap crop for every 14 rows of tomato, and release of Trichogramma brasilensis at the rate of 50,000 parasites eggs per hectare based on the pheromone based on the ETL. The first release should coincide with the flowering, and second at 10 days later. Then go for spraying of the HNPV, and then inundative release of Trichogramma brasilensis at the rate of 250,000 eggs per hectare alone, beginning from the fruiting, and it will help in reducing the 16% fruit infestation. So here tomato with marigold, and marigold is attractive, very attractive to this L-Corpa parvicera. Similarly, this chili, as I was telling, chili is also one of the important vegetable crop where the models, different models were tested. Here the bio-intensive module, adaptive module, and chemi-intensive module. So here adaptive module is more appropriate, though chemi-intensive recorded the good percent of reduction of this fruit damage, but adaptive module is better when you consider the cost economics. So this is the the effect of IPM module on coccinellate population on Chrysopa and spider trap. So here the bio-intensive and adaptable module have provided a safer to as compared to the chemi-intensive. And if you look into the cost economics, this M2, that is the adaptable module, finds a place, and as compared to this chemi-intensive module, as far as the chili pest management is concerned. So this is a gist of the module of that's the adaptable module, how it is. The first step is growing one row of marigold as trap crop, 1:16, and 2 rows of maize as a barrier crop. Then application of the neem cake, root dip with the imidacloprid, then spraying of azadictin and thiamethoxam, chlorantraniliprole, which proved quite effective against chili pest. And also the next best module is the biointensive. So these, if you follow these steps, this module, definitely both biointensive and adaptable modules are considered to be sound tool for the IPM. So even in case of capsicum, here in case of capsicum, there is a slight deviation. Here biointensive module is much more effective than adaptive module. So it's very interesting here. The biointensive module, it consists of both neem cake and vermicompost application at the rate of 50 gram per plant, each at 30 days interval from the transplanting to flowering, then dipping the seedlings in imidacloprid and transplanting, and azadictin spray, and also the Lecanicilium lecani, and also the spraying of Pseudomonas fluorescens. So all these biointensive components that really helped in getting highest yield in case of capsicum, because it is the most important vegetable crop. So this is elaborated in a stepwise manner. That's how this the biointensive module follows. So here for the management of mite, ecomite is applied after flowering. Ecomite, 2 times ecomite, which contains some of the essential oils like rosemary oil, citronal oil, peppermint, cottonseed oil, and other ingredients, which is more effective against mites, because mites normally starts infecting this chili from flowering to till maturity. At that time, residue is more concerned. At that time, we should not go for spraying the toxic or the actual spurious insecticides. Instead, if you spray ecomite, which is very effective and safe and no residues. So that's why in the later stage of the crop of the chili or capsicum, go for ecomite or azadictin. 2 times spray of ecomite and 1 azadictin spray will definitely considered to be a sound IPM and which is socially acceptable, ecologically balanced, and easily adaptable and also sustainable. So this is the graphical representation where this a biointensive module recorded the highest yield and distribution. So here also this biointensive module 40.7, so highest percent increase in the yield. And coming to this crop diversification based IPM module, one of my student worked on this okra. So here crop diversification based adaptable module means that okra, 2 rows of maize, 1 row of marigold, 2 rows of cowpea, and okra intercrop with coriander. So this is the diversification. Apart from this, we are also integrating other IPM components like the seed treatment with imidacloprid, application of neem cake, pheromone traps, yellow sticky traps, azadictin, and even this fungal insecticide, that's Lecanicilium lecani, and only one tolfenpyrad is the only one insecticide that against stress, which is very effective, and 1 thiamethoxam and sanantraniliprole against fruit boils, chlorantraniliprole also. So as compared to the farmer practice where he goes for more than 1 dozen insecticides, here we have integrated crop diversification plus IPM plus the new molecules. Hardly we have used 2 green molecules and 2 for that 2 new molecules, 2 for against the sucking pest. So it is a minimum very effective, considered to be very effective module for the management of the insect pests of capsicum. In case of okra. So this is the field layout. That's how all the crops are implemented surrounding this maize, followed by cowpea, marigold, and inside coriander. So all the components are visible. And similarly, even the natural enemies are also encouraged by this, Bendy, where we notice the maximum number of natural enemies in crop diversified IPM modules. Okay, crop IPM and crop diversified based IPM modules recorded highest natural enemy populations like coccinelle, chrysopa, sylphids, spiders. So this is a very interesting study, and this principle can be adapted even to other vegetable crops also. See, many predators and parasites are recorded, and we have taken, one of my students have taken the photographs of these under this crop diversified IPM module, where we notice the chrysopa, coccinelle, syrphid, then their young ones, grubs also. So this is how that we have to yield also. We have recorded the highest yield in this crop diversified based module, that is M2. So we recorded almost 18.15 tons of this okra yield. That is the one. And similarly, coming to this IPM technology for fruit fly management in cucurbits, because fruit fly is the greatest number one enemy as far as cucurbits is concerned. So for this, we must adopt IPM technology for the management of this fruit fly. Installation of this water bottle baited with Q-lure, okay, which is saturated with wooden blocks. Wooden blocks are immersed in ethanol, Q-lure, and carbaryl in a ratio of 8:1:2. And this we have to install at the rate of 25 traps per hectare prior to flower initiation. So this will bring down the highest number of fruit fly population, which is most important, because in case of a fruit fly, adult is the only stage which is manageable. We cannot manage its pupa, which are present inside the soil, and maggots, which are present inside the fruit. Both egg and maggots, they are present inside the fruit, pupa inside the soil. What is left? Only adult population. Adult is the only stage that we have to concentrate and we have to manage it. So adult population we can manage very effectively by implementing this pheromone trap, pheromone based technology. And second step is bait spray containing malathion 20 ml in 20 liters of water and 500 grams of molasses. And this we have to spray randomly, sporadically in isolated patch on 250 plants per hectare. So that itself will attract and kill the adult population. Then going for use of repellents, that is neem seed kernel extract, which can also be used for trapping and luring in the bait spots. And application of neem, that also helps. And fine tuning of this model is with the addition of neem seed kernel extract spray and increased diameter of the bottle trap, along with the use of dichloroas 1%, increase the adult trapping or killing of the flies. So the impact of this technology is that it helps to suppress further population or further buildup of this fruit fly. Almost there is no probability of insecticide residue because we are installing the pheromone traps. There is no question of spraying of the insecticides, and hence there is no question of residue problem. So this is the one of the best technology, and this technology also decreases the fruit damage by 71% in cucurbits, and overall cost of pesticide application has also decreased more than 10 times. So this is one of the best technology that we have to implement. So this is the integrated pest management of cucurbitaceae, same thing, for which we have first deep summer flowing that helps to expose the pupa which are hidden inside the soil. As I have already told you, pupation undergoes inside the soil. So all the pupa which are hidden inside the soil, they got exposed and they are killed by the intense sun. And following the crop rotation, non-cucurbits, that we have to grow. So we have to change the cropping pattern. Then installation of the pheromone traps, as I was telling, Q-lure, that's the one thing. And also the spraying of sporadically molasses, and sanitation has to be maintained. So with this, we can easily manage this fruit fly management. And some of the outstanding technologies were developed by our student. For the onion thrips management, one of the best insecticide is acetamiprid. Okay, acetamiprid and thiamethoxam. These are the two insecticides which are highly effective for the management of thrips. And similarly for serpentine leaf miner and also other thrips and serpentine leaf miner, Cyazipar, that is cyanoterniliprole at the rate of 1.8 ml. Definitely it gives better protection, not only on watermelon, even on the bitter gourd also. Similarly, this cyanoterniliprole also effective against this fruit fly and the leaf miner, even in case of ridge gourd. Okay. Then root grub. One of my students also worked on root grub, because root grub is also a number one pest on many vegetable crops which feeds on the roots. Even it's recently a great menace on onion crop. Onion bulbs are eaten by these root grubs. So here, one of my students come out with very good results, where the adaptable module, that is the soil application of metarhizium anisoplay at the time of sowing, and soil drenching with chlorantraniliprole at the time of again sowing. So this metarhizium anisoplay at the rate of 1 gram per liter per square meter area. Similarly, this is chlorantraniliprole 0.4 ml per liter per square meter area. So overall, the 10 kg of metarhizium and 400 ml of this chlorantraniliprole per hectare will significantly bring down and successfully controlled this root grub population in case of onion. Earlier, this was not a root grub is not a major problem on onion, but in recent years it becomes a major bottleneck and major constraint on onion. So the Holotrichia serrata is the one major species that was causing major problem to this onion compared to other species. And this is the root grub which is present inside the soil, which starts feeding from second instar onwards. Both second and instar instars, they cause damage to this onion. So this is the photographs where that's how this onion bulb is damaged by these root grubs. Okay, then IPM module for this in the same table format, as I was telling, that module he has prepared, the adaptable module, the one which I have explained, that has recorded the highest yield and highest BC ratio. So that's how. And coming to the concluding part of this session. So here we can conclude that it can be concluded from the foregoing discussion. So for what we have made, it can be concluded that the integration of the bioagents and green-labeled insecticides is an eco-friendly approach, and this integration, it has to be coupled with ecological engineering, as it is yet another form of conservation of the natural enemies, and also the pest management, in which cropping system is altered to enhance the effectiveness of natural enemies, which is most important, especially the parasites, predators, and pathogens. So their population is further get enhanced just because of the ecological engineering. Ecological engineering is nothing but the crop diversification with different the components or different elements. So the crop diversification, it is an important component of the IPM. So as I was already explained, the crop diversification based IPM modules means this crop diversification is an important component of the IPM, which promotes the natural enemies. Earlier, without this, we were promoting the natural enemies. But now, with this crop diversification, we have to promote the natural enemies so as to prevent the insect pest damage. So, and this ecological balance. However, the success of this IPM depends on the ecological conditions of a particular locality. So, thus it is necessary to develop a suitable IPM modules even on other crops also. We have developed crop diversified IPM based on okra only. So, this has to be tested even for other crops also, other vegetable crops. Okay. So, ultimately it can be, finally, it can be concluded that the integration of bioagents, green-labeled molecules, and also the crop diversification, all these three becomes an eco-friendly approach, economically feasible and easily adaptable by the farmers, and these recommendations becomes more sustainable. But one thing one must remember that the time of application of either bioagent or insecticide has more significance, and it has to be based on the ETL. So that assumes a greatest importance than mere application at improper time, at improper stage, and with improper equipment. So this has to be taken care. So some of the future prospects on which there is a research has to be focused is that the evaluation of locally natural resources for pest management, conservation and augmentation of natural enemies is one thing, and the crop study on crop diversification based IPM modules on other vegetables like brinjal and also tomato, other crops like as we did in okra. So these are the things that we must consider. And apart from this, some of the biochemical basis resistant varieties needs to be studied. Then development of forecasting modules, that is also most important as far as the pest efficient and effective pest management is concerned. And also the estimation of a pesticide residue on vegetables is also, we have to devise one easy technique for effective certification of this organic vegetables, growing the organic vegetables. So with these information, I will close my lecture. So if you have any doubts regarding the recent trends in vegetable pest management, it is quite open to all. You can ask the question if you have any doubt.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So now the topic is open for discussion. If there are any specific queries from the audience side, you can please ask the Dr. Gopali, sir.
Can I come in for a second, sir?
Of course, please.
This is Dr. Nisar from Sukast, Kashmir, Agriculture University, Srinagar, Shalimar. Yeah. Sir, I'm dealing with sericulture. In one of the slides, sir talked about using this Bavaria bassiana and Metarhizium anisopoli as the components of this IPM. Sir, how do you recommend these biopesticides in an area where sericulture is the main activity of the people? The people who are doing agriculture, but simultaneously they are dealing with the silkworms also.
Okay.
So what is your recommendation on that aspect?
Okay, it's a very good question. Earlier, we were recommending this Metarhizium anisopoli and Metarhizium and also this Numeria on a short statured crop like soybean and groundnut, where there is a optimum condition for these myco-insecticides for their multiplication, because for the multiplication of these Metarhizium or Numeria, they require a highest relative humidity, high humidity conditions. So that is created at a short statured crop. Now we are extending this technology to other vegetable crops under crop diversification based technology. Crop diversification will provide microclimate and also the congenial condition for the growth and multiplication of this Metarhizium and Numeria. Now it is possible with the crop diversification. as it was possible in a short statured crop like soybean and groundnut.
Okay.
So that means we have to use this ecological engineering where it gives more avenue and scope for crop diversification with wide host range.
Sir, actually, my question still remains unanswered. My question is, if we are using these biopesticides, I am particularly talking about this Beauveria bassana and Metarhizium anisopoli, because they are the causative agents for causing disease in the silkworms. So what will be the fate of the sericulture farmer